So this is a new thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to try to do a playthrough of using the solo system of a board game. This one is New England. I chose this game because it's a game that has a considerable amount of depth and decisions, but it's pretty easy to explain the rules and the setup, and there's not a lot of text, so it just works really well to kind of demonstrate how the solo system works. So I'm going to tell you about the rules of the actual game. This is New England. It was by Alan Moon. It was many years ago. I think it's out of print, unfortunately. But you should be able to get the gist of the idea. New England is an area control game that you put little plots of land onto the board. You're going to start off with the setup. And you're going to put these things onto the board in various spots. And then later on, you're going to basically convert these things to points by flipping them over and with cards in this deck. Certain cards in this deck will have a layout that indicates that these spots must be taken. When you have the sufficient layout, then you can actually you play the card and then you get the points for it. There's also other little mini cards in here, which we'll go over in a sec. Each turn consists of making a bid using whatever you can pay 1 to 10. Whatever bid you take, you can buy up to 2 things on a space right here. The cost is going to be whatever coin you took. So in other words, if you took the 1, then it's going to cost you 2 coins to take 2. You can only ever take 2, but you could choose to just take 1 if you wanted to. You could bid 6, and then you'd have to pay 12 if you want to take 2, or just pay 6 if you want to take 1. The things that are going to be on display right here, that's what you have purchased available for auction. The auction is going to consist either of these cards, which are randomly shuffled, but then you have to put at least 3 of these cards onto this area here, and you're also going to have these tiles, which are necessary in order to expand your area on the board. The tiles you have to have at least 3 over here, but in the center area you can choose to have either these things right here or the tiles. And the person who's the active player, each round will decide what exactly gets laid out, and then they're the first person to make a bid to decide how much they actually want to pay for each of these. In addition, when you get certain people or buildings, there's 3 of them. There's ships, there's barns, and then there's colonists. They give you special powers. The barns will let you store one of the point scoring cards for later in case you don't actually have the ability to actually fulfill that point. You store it for later so you can actually get it later. The ships, if you have them, whoever has the most, for each barn will let you just store one. The ships, though, whoever has the most ships or whoever's tied for the most ships can place an extra one on the auction. They're not very useful, but they're worth something. And then finally, the people will let you get 1 extra coin. You'll notice you might notice in this if you actually zoom in far enough. I'm not actually using the actual coins of this game because they have these white and gold things, and I just find them difficult. I was like, oh, I have to remember that that's one worth 115. So I just stole some the corn tiles from Tolkien, the Mayan calendar, and I'm just using them as coins in this game because I like them easier. It's easier to recognize what they are, the values. It just makes it easier for me, and that's why I like it. Okay, so that's those. There's also a bonus in this game. If you have, at the end of the game, if you have the most ships, you can get 2 points. Whoever's tied with both people will get it. Whoever has the most barns will get 3 points, and whoever has the most colonists will get 4 points. They're somewhat worth something because each coin, ship, and colonist is also worth a point each. So depending on how crazy you went with them, they're not the biggest bonus, but they are there. A couple things about the ships. The ships, whenever you put a ship on the board, they always have to be of a surface area. Whenever you put a colonist on the board, the colonists they have to go onto it. They always everything in place always has to go on a tile, and it has to be an empty tile that doesn't have anything built on it. So you put it on the center tiles. These are these cover 2 spaces. You may not want to actually do that because the center spaces are nice for building more stuff. But the colonists, you can move them around. The chips you can move them around as long as your tiles are still on the center. But the barns, once you put a barn down, the barn can't move. So if you put a barn down on this thing, you've actually locked this card. So you might not want to choose to do that at the beginning. Pretty simple game. You play till either this deck is done and has all been dealt out, or the bag of tiles is all done and is dealt out. At which point, if a person cannot fill up the board, then the game immediately ends, and then you score points. I have found in this game that it will tend to go right to the very end, but that's how this works. The solo system is a way of playing playing opponents when you don't actually have opponents available. The opponents don't always behave the way that you think. They have their own little system and ideas of what they're going to do, and their way of creating an artificial player to play against. The whole point of this video is to demonstrate how the solo system works in a board game. You are welcome to go look up the rules of how to play New England if I didn't necessarily explain that well. This is purely a demonstration. What I'm going to do in this first video is I'm going to demonstrate the setup. So I will go do that now. In the setup, each player can place stuff on the board, and I'm going to choose to place it in the way that it says in the rules. And they say the person next to the start player is the person that gets to place the first tile, and then you just go and you keep going to the left. So the person who's going to place the first tile is actually the last person to play each one of them. It's an advantage. Maybe I've only played it. I played about 4 times in real life, and then twice with the solo system so far. So this will be my 3rd time. I think it's a good game that works with the solo system. I think once you're comfortable enough with the solo system, you can probably play most things. But it's nice to start off with a game with simple rules, and this is that. So that's what I'm doing with this. The first thing you do in the solo system, whenever you play a thing, is you want to give them a strategy. So it's kind of a long-term effect. This is a good idea to play with any kind of Euro game. If your strategy is pretty much obvious, like you have to capture an opponent, well, that's your strategy. But in a game like this, that might not be so apparent. I find the Euro games is like, well, you want to accomplish a victory this way. Well, and the solo system can kind of steer you that way. So I'm just going to give a deal of his long-term strategy. I'm looking at the start phase of the solo system because that's what I'm going to do. This opponent right here, opponent A, Annabelle, which is that's the way the game labeled it. The opponent will focus on any kind of strategy that will give it more actions, workers, or extra options. Now, when you're using the solo system, you have to interpret. I'm going to choose to interpret that this thing really likes getting the extra workers on the board, as well as ships and barns. It likes getting those little small bonuses. That's how it's going to play the first half of the game. In this case, this opponent right here is going to focus on area capture tactics or dominate specific parts of the board. So I like to in this game what I did last time, because I actually had the same card before. I want to choose an area of the board that it wants to focus on. So in this case, it's going to focus on this area of the board right here. You could use that on the solo system tactics card. You probably can't see that. The tactics card, it suggests an area of the board that you can actually choose that the solo system is going to focus on. So it wants to focus on this area of the board and develop whatever it ends up placing in that area. That's the way it likes it. That's why it likes it. So that's what I'm going to do with it. Okay. And then my own tactics, well, it's how I choose to play. Now, the second thing you want to do is you want to deal out a personality for each opponent to start off with. In this case, I am going to be using a little bit of a handicap for the opponent because I like to make the opponent a little bit smarter than to accommodate for some of the random things that they can do that might not actually help it. What I'm going to do in this game is on some of these personality cards, you will find a little star or a little icon in this bottom thing. I'm going to choose to say every time I see one of those, then it gets an extra gold coin. If you see 2 stars, then it'll get 2 coins, and then the one card that has 3 stars, it actually gets 3 coins. I'm not going to do this for the setup though. I'm just giving it personality cards that indicate its actions. Same as last, so it doesn't have the same as last. In this case right here, I have the capitalist for the personality for the starting personality for A, and the builder for the starting personality for B. These are meant to be guidance. When you don't know what the opponent's going to do, then you look to these cards and say, well, I think it might actually go in that direction. In the starting phase for this may not actually be, these starting personalities may not be as helpful or useful. You ignore them if that's not the case. You look for any kind of guidance. You don't really know how the opponent's going to play. When you don't know, well, there's ways to accommodate that, and we'll throw that right away. So this is the starting player. I'm going to play third. I'm W. So P's going to place its first thing on the board. Now the advantage of P is it can kind of dictate. In this game, here actually I'm going to shuffle this one more time. In this game, you're going to find that the Browns have the biggest point gain. So it's nice when you can develop the Brown the most. The points on Brown are worth more. I'm going to make the assumption that he's probably not going to play his Brown first, just because it is an area that like its biggest point gain. You want to make sure you have enough space on the board because this board's going to get crowded as the game goes on. Sorry, wrong deck. So I'm looking at the probability deck. I'm assuming he's probably not going to choose his Brown. Does he? No, he doesn't. Instead, does he play the green? Unsure. No. So he's going to play the black. Does he play the black in his favorite area? Unsure. No. Okay, so he's going to choose to develop his black somewhere else. And that's that. What you just saw there is I choose the probability of what I think he's going to do, and then you ask the game a question, and then you look at the response based on probably, unsure, or probably not. In this case, I kind of chose probably not. You do that for clarity. So I'm saying he's probably not going for that area. What area does he want to go for? Well, at this point, it looks kind of random. I could make the assumption maybe he wants to go for the center because the center is the most wide open and probably has the most options, but it could get crowded out too. Does he do that? I'm going to say probably. Yep. Okay, so that's what he does. So he sticks his P directly in the center. My turn. I like the idea of having good options for the center too. I don't necessarily want to play my Brown either, so I'm going to go, I'll put my W right there. So I have more of a focus over here, but it still kind of leaves things wide open. A, he wants to get actions and tactics. Well, in this case, there might be a little bit more of an advantage by going for a coast area, so maybe I'll say there's a coast. He likes efficiency though, so he's not too indifferent. He's probably not playing his Brown right first, because if you play the Brown in an area that gets closed off, well, then you leave yourself susceptible. So I'll make the assumption he doesn't play his Brown. No, he doesn't. He's indifferent to the other two. Does he play his A? I'm sure. Yeah, he plays green. So in this case, there might have been a little bit more of an advantage to green because he already knows where my green is, and he doesn't know where his green is going to go. He could choose to put this green on multiple areas of the board, but maybe he likes the idea of like kind of blocking me out, or so does he like the idea of blocking me out? I'm not sure. I'm going to say unsure. Nope, he doesn't necessarily want to block me out. He wants to just create wide open spaces. Best wide open spaces for his capitalist stuff. Again, well, if he has stuff closer to the surface, he has slightly more advantage. So does he play his green over there? I'm going to say unsure. Nope. So this is looking pretty good. Does he like that? Yep. Okay. I said unsure, so I didn't necessarily make it clear. He likes the idea of going here, but he does want to make it as open as possible. If he places it here, then he has the advantage. First of all, let me just see if I can figure out the orientation that he wants to go. For this is nice to have a tactics card. Does he play it left, right? Left, right, then I'm going to use this orientation right here. No, he wants to play this thing up, down. And I use that with this little square thing. Okay, like if it goes up, down, well, then he's going to go place it this way. And if it goes left, right, he's going to go place it that way. So he likes it there. If he places it here, then he leaves it a little bit crowded if somebody wanted to place it here. There's a rule of thumb that you can only place stuff diagonally too. Diagonally. You can't put the thing directly touching, so that would be bad. He could do this, but then somebody else, you leave stuff a lot more open over there. So he probably is going to shove it down here. But the question is, does he shove it here leftwise, or does he shove it like that? Okay, well, let's see. I'll take my probability like again. That looks like a reasonable, okay, well, he can capture lots of stuff if he does it there. Does he do that? I'm going to say probably. No. Okay. Does he shove it out more? Unsure. Yep. Okay. So that's the way that he's going to choose to play it. Again, is that the most tactical decision he could make? Well, maybe not. It's a reasonable tactic decision, but the goal half the time is to keep the game moving, because if you can choose to make take a lot of time to make your decisions, or you can choose to get things moving well. If you're just choosing to make the game move faster, that's where the handicaps are really nice, because if you start overthinking what your opponent's going to do, I mean, there's a lot of fun to be had in that, but it's going to make your game take longer. And because I'm doing a video, well, I'm going to be focusing less on making smart tactics and more just making fast tactics. Okay, so now we're going to go with P here. P likes this area of the board, and now A's kind of claimed that, so maybe he doesn't actually like the idea of playing P there. Does he do it? No. Okay, so he does he want to play green at all? Yep. Okay, so he wants to play green. Would green choose to go in his area? He's got a lot more wide open space up there. Maybe he's going to choose to go up there because it's closer to where he would want. Yep. Okay, so he's going to shove green right over here. Now, he likes this area of the board more, so I'm going to say he might actually be choosing to do this closer down. Does he do that? Does that look very reasonable to say? I'll say yes. Yep. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, probably yes. So that's what he did. Again, the goal is to kind of focus on more fast movement. Now, I've got the ability to play black. Where do I like to play black? Well, black is nice when it's open. Or I can just sit there and try to find a space for my brown, but I think black is probably good when it's farther away. And it's nice if it puts a little pressure on the speed, so I'm going to put it there. Now, he's got his black. He's got his black. He's still trying to focus on getting lots of stuff, so he probably likes the coastal areas. Does he play his black on a coastal area? Let's say yes. Let's say probably. No. Okay. He doesn't necessarily focus on coastal area. He's not going to go in here because that's just too crowded. That's still really good, but this area is, well, if he wants to complete and take away from A, but then he's got to do it down here. Probably not going to go in this area. Does he do that? No. Okay, so coastal area, so maybe a little bit more inward. Does he, or maybe more up in here? Does he go in here? That seems more likely. Probably. No. Okay, so he's going down there, and he's going more in. So he's going to create this little weird black thing, and he's going in. Does he go as in as close to in as possible? Yep. Okay. That's as close as possible. So he's just trying to make a lot of competition. He just made life very difficult for P. Now P is in a weird position because P likes this area of the board, but he doesn't have anything in that area of the board. So this is the place where he's probably going to just choose an opposite tactic. He's going to choose a different area because this whole thing is meant to be flexible. What area of the board does he like? He can choose more center. Well, he doesn't have anything there either. Let's keep flipping until something opens up fashion matches. He doesn't. Well, he could develop his P, but he's not going to put his brown there. Maybe he does put his brown back in there. Yeah, you know what? I think he's going to do that. He's going to put his brown here, but he likes. Oh wow! So if you want to carry a different capture, he's got to move fast on brown. The reason why he's got to move fast on brown, brown likes these little square areas, so he's going to go there. And then I'm just going to go back to the original tactics because that's where he likes. Now, P is really bunched up in this kind of area, and he's kind of crowded. So P is playing a pretty desperate game. I look at this and I think, well, P's chances of winning are probably low. So maybe I don't choose to have him follow that because that just seems crazy. I'm going to say, does he do that? Probably not. Does he do that? Probably not. No, he doesn't do that. He's going to put it over here. And he can put it pretty much anywhere. Let's say, use my tactics. Let's try to figure out what area of the board he's going to do that. For the tactics, he's going to go, I'll say if he moves up, he's playing here. If he moves left, straight to the right, he's going to go here. If he moves down, he's going to go here. You're looking this video reverse, so my rights and left will be a little bit mixed up, but that's okay. And then if he puts it here, he's sticking that thing right there, which is crazy. And I'll say he probably won't do that. Okay, so he's going to choose, yeah, of course he goes for that one. I'm going to flip again. He's going up. Up here, in my head, means that. Because that opens up the whole most space for him. It means that he still has lots of space to play there. Nobody's likely to place their brown there. Well, they can't even place their brown there. And he's going to use that orientation because that's the one that makes the most sense. And then, me, well, WW. I am pretty wide open. I don't think I mind this much because I don't mind having my W bunched up. Which means guarantees that he's going to go there. So if I go here, I'm spread out across the board enough. I'll go here. So now Mr. A, he actually does have an advantage going here because he's got this one. So the only guy that's pushing down is this P right here, and he can kind of cement that out. So maybe he likes the fact that he can keep this secure because nobody else is really going to push in there. Does he do that? I'm going to say probably. Yep. Okay. And he's going to put it right up in there because it's that's the area that gives it secures him the most area. So now the game is all set up and I am ready to play, and I will do so on the next video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, well, you can write them in the comments down below. Thanks. Or you can comment just on the school system in general. Thanks.